Okay, let me see if we are live on Facebook, and we are. Hello,
Fantastic.
everyone. Good evening. Yes, let me see if there's a delay. No. Okay. Well, I am excited for tonight because we're going to cover a topic that affects most of us women, or if it hasn't already. Well, we're all over 30, so I'm sure it has, and we know this. It's our favorite word, I guess. Perimenopause and menopause. So, um, a lot of hormonal changes happens at this stage, and I know there's a lot of frustration and confusion when it comes to, all of a sudden the shift in energy that we experience, bloat. We just don't feel like ourselves. So we're and our overall well-being is like turned upside down. So we're going to tackle all of that, but the good news is that there is a way to take control, and that's what our special guest Stephanie is going to help us uncover. She's going to equip us with all the tools that we need so we can leave hopefully out of this interview just with a ton of knowledge and applicable tools, right? Stephanie, why don't you introduce us? I know she's a specialist in specifically hormonal coaching for women. That's why I wanted to bring her on. Thank you for being on.
Of course.
Yeah, so share a little bit about when did you start coaching and why did you specialize in hormonal health for women?
Yeah, so I have been in the field since 2011, which is crazy. So it's been like 14 years now. I started out as a personal trainer. I did my kinesiology degree, did my master's, and did my exercise therapy. I started working for the health region. I was personal training all through that time, doing nutrition just on the side. But I loved working with people with chronic conditions, so cardiovascular disease, COPD, cancer, like diabetes, osteoporosis, like you name it, I've worked with it. But it's very interesting that that demographic, like the things that I was drawn to, like a huge, huge amount of those people were women who were perimenopausal and menopausal, not just like people who are quote unquote older. Like this is happening to women going through hormonal transitions in the years that follow. And so I started making these connections, right? And I found in the health region, I wasn't able to help people to the capacity that I wanted to. There's all the, all the red tape and the rules and the structure and the
Expectations.
politics. Got out of there, started personal training. I was a manager at a personal training gym, helping mentor other coaches. I did that for a while. Then I opened my own coaching studio where I worked as a manual osteopathic therapist because I have that certification as well. And I continued to work with, had trainers working under me and massage therapists and just a full holistic kind of thing that we had going on. And I continued to work with women over and over and over again who were in their 40s, even their late 30s, their 50s, their 60s. And, the whole eat less, move more wasn't really working. So I really dove into metabolism and I was like, okay, this makes so much more sense. And the men that I would work with would get
Mhm.
results very quickly. Didn't matter
Yes.
how old they were, results came pretty quickly. And with women, it like worked. But then again, the women who were like 40, 50, just it
Mhm.
wasn't quite, something was off. And I'm like, hey, there's got to be something else. And I dove into hormones and then discovered all the things, became obsessed with it very quickly. And then hearing the horror stories of women going to doctors and to other coaches, and they didn't believe them and they would just want to feel like themselves. And they were like, that's just how it is now. Eat less, move more. You must fast. You must cut out your carbs. You must do all this cardio. And it's the exact opposite of what women should be doing in this time of their life. And now there's more of a push. I'm so glad there's more education finally coming out there, but I really
Mhm.
take, I feel very fiercely protective over the women of this demographic because I think a lot of people think it's a booming industry where they can like make money and they aren't actually in it for the right reasons. They don't have the right education and they end up doing more harm than good to women. And I'm really not okay with that. Um, so I've become just very fiercely protective and want to be an advocate for them. And I continue to do so. And it's not just the wanting to lose weight part. It's we see chronic disease increase exponentially once women hit menopause. It's insane the statistics of the increase in osteoporosis, of heart attacks, of diabetes, of cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, anxiety and depression rates increase substantially. Like it's not just about losing weight. Losing weight and the inability to do so is a byproduct of all these other things that are happening in our body. And I mean, I lost my mom 3 years ago because of these things. We're losing women so much younger than we should be. People who are like quote unquote healthy and all of a sudden they're sick. And it's insane to me. And it's everyone, no one thinks about hormones. No one thinks about this transition and what happens and what changes. And it really is responsible for not only your metabolism, but your health as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big thing, and it's very frustrating too for women because I mean now there's more awareness like you mentioned, but imagine going to the doctor and being told you're old or just this is how it's
Yeah.
going to be. No,
Mhm.
and it's not. And so I'm glad that we have more and a lot of accessible information online. You go on Instagram, the most popular topic, I think it's perimenopause, and I know women are so concerned with that extra fat that they carry because that's the first thing that happens. But let's talk about let's dumb it down, basics. Someone who starts experiencing what are the early signs of perimenopause? How do we know we're in it? What happens when? I mean, for me, it started early 30s. I know for some it happens mid 30s to late 40s. Some don't experience any symptoms until they're in their 40s or late 40s, right? So, what's common? What do you see with the clients that you work with
Oh
typically?
gosh, there is like hundreds of symptoms now.
Yeah.
Before it only used to be like hot flashes, night sweats. You would see like a little bit of weight gain, some fatigue, the brain fog, but those are like the big things. But like we see all
Mhm.
kinds of things. Like it's the hair thinning, elasticity decreasing, more gut health issues. Like
Yeah.
the symptoms are really endless, right? And the point being, like, if you don't feel like yourself, there's probably something going on, to be honest. Um,
Hmm.
in terms of how quickly it can happen from like surgical menopause, right? Like if you
Yeah.
have a total hysterectomy, or it can be surgical from like, cancer treatments and having to like be on certain medications. There are lots of reasons that people can go into it early. Stress is a big one, big one, because stress will completely deplete your hormones from being able to be produced. Like progesterone cannot be produced if cortisol is high, our stress hormones. But
Hmm.
we see women progressively losing their cycles earlier or experiencing these symptoms and struggling with their hormone levels because we are overstressed. That is really what happens. And it can be like, we're like, oh, I feel fine. Like I deal with it. It used to be way worse before. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like you don't have to perceive it as stress. It's internally what your body is perceiving it as, and you don't even have to be aware that it's happening. So the symptoms are a sign your body is stressed out. So if you are someone who has dieted a lot, so done a lot of low calorie diets, has dieted for long periods of time, has had multiple diets in a year, let alone decades, right? If you are cutting out your carbohydrates, if you are fasting, if you are doing a ton of cardio, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you are go, rushing through your day all of the time, you've got work deadlines and family responsibilities, and you're dealing with grief and trauma and
Yeah.
taking care of sick parents,
Mhm.
and you're driving around all the time. We're constantly doom scrolling and looking on social media all of the time. We are, super addicted to caffeine. We are having highly processed foods all the time, but still under eating a ton generally for women is what we see. And we're just like in this constant state of stress. And that's not supposed to happen. Like we're supposed to have stress, cortisol goes up, comes back down, and then we're good.
Mhm.
Now it's like our body is constantly on defense. It constantly is scanning the environments for threats all of the time. It doesn't know that you're not running away from a bear. It doesn't know that what you're actually just doing is not liking your job and doom scrolling on your cell phone, and your stress hormones go up. And then what happens when our stress hormones go up is we see our sex hormones decrease substantially. Our blood sugar gets worse. Even if you're fasting, stress goes up, your body breaks down muscle, takes it to your liver, dumps it in your bloodstream for energy. So you can become insulin resistant from under eating or not often enough, or from overstressing yourself. We
Mhm.
see muscle loss. We see worse energy. We see our thyroid function slow down. Metabolism slows down. We see a slowing of detoxification in our body. So we have toxin accumulation, which will actually change our fat cells, making it harder to break down. We see our gut health get worse, so we have more bloating. We have all of a sudden more food sensitivities. It's just this vicious cycle that just keeps going and going and going. And then as our metabolism slows down from past dieting and all the things that we're doing to it all the time, the food doesn't get broken down as quickly. Our cells can't absorb that energy. That increases inflammation even more. That's going to drive our cortisol up. Like it's just over and over. And then we panic because we're gaining weight. So we cut calories, we cut carbs, we do more cardio. We cut calories, we cut carbs, we do more cardio. We fast, we skip meals, and that just increases that even more. But the thing is, during perimenopause and menopause, stress tolerance starts to shrink. So before you
Mhm.
can handle this giant dinner plate with all this stress and responsibility, estrogen starts to decline and that plate gets smaller, but you haven't taken anything off. So people are like, I haven't changed anything and I'm gaining weight. And we're like, yes, because internally your body has changed and you haven't changed to account for that. So now you're having more stress than what your body can handle and you're gaining weight. But then you cut calories, cut carbs, you fast, you do all the cardio, which adds more stress, which
There's more
actually
stress.
results in more weight gain. And people keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And we get into this place where it's like, feels impossible to lose weight. Plus, you feel like garbage, right? And it's just this crazy cycle that just continues over and over and over again.
Whoa, I'm
I
exhausted
know.
by just
I
hearing
know.
it.
I
But
know.
sad truth is almost every woman experiences this. And
Yes.
I'm glad that you mentioned about stress because back in the day when I first started having those symptoms, I was like, I'm not stressed. I thought it's just mental stress, you know. But it's not just that. So everything you mentioned and everything that we do in our 20s that it doesn't we think that it doesn't really negatively affects us, all of a sudden it's like boom, right? Even like the chemicals and everything that we inhale and we don't pay attention to does stress our bodies out. So thank you for pointing that
100%.
out because it's not just work stress or financial stress, because I think that's
No.
what um, generally when we refer to stress, that's what we
Mhm.
the general
We think of the
public society.
psychological stress, like
Yeah,
that's
like
where our brain
kids and
goes.
finances
Mhm.
mainly. Other than that, I'm not stressed. You are stressing your body, even over working out or all of those. Yeah. So, and then we try to help ourselves, but then we're adding more to our plate, more stress, right? By
Mhm.
doing more cardio, eating less, which is, the old school way of trying to change things or diet,
Mhm.
right? Um, I mean, we're going to break down, talk about the mental part because it's so important. But then sometimes, do you think that we fail to notice all these until it becomes a big issue? But the first thing that women think about is how the weight gain, right?
Mhm.
Do you think that that's number one, or when women come to you, it's like, I don't feel like myself, or is it I don't feel like myself because of the weight gain?
The weight gain is always the reason people come to me. Always.
Mhm.
That is the reason that they come to me. And I'm like, we actually have other fish to fry. We will
Yeah.
get you there. But the inability to lose weight or the reason you're gaining weight is a symptom of
Uh-huh.
something. And usually it's just overstressing your body in some capacity. Is it coming from a gut health thing, a hormone thing, a cortisol thing? Is it inflammation? Is it autoimmunity? Like there are multiple reasons that your body could be overstressed. And like for myself, like I have an aura ring. I love it
Hmm.
so much. And I was at an event this weekend and networking, and it was amazing. I felt so cup filled, called my husband every night, raving about the event, how much I was enjoying myself. And then I got really sick when I got home. And I looked, and my stress rating, like usually my stress levels, it says like you were stressed for about 4 hours, 5 hours a day. And that's like, doing this stuff because your heart rate's elevated or things like that. I was stressed for over 12 hours each day.
Wow.
Yeah. And so my body eventually was just like, no. My
Mm.
digestion literally shut down. I puked on the plane
Oh,
because when you're
no.
when you're in a stress state, blood flow goes away from your gut into your arms and legs to fight the bear, run away from the bear. So then things don't digest. I threw up my lunch, which I ate at 2 p.m. at like 11 o'clock at night. It just sat there.
Mm.
So it's like
That's
you
insane.
don't realize how stressed out you are and how just a few days of not so great sleep can make a massive difference or, increased work demand or whatever it might be. But then we just want to see the scale go down. So we push, push, push. and you end up making it so much worse. But we're always told if you're not doing something, you're not productive, you're not worthy.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be
Yes.
resting. You're wasting your time. You got to
Mhm.
take care of everybody else, run your household, also have a job, like do all of these things, plus be active, plus lose weight, look a certain way. Like, yeah, we are in a place where we are honestly undernourished and overstressed all of the time. And
Mhm.
so a lot of steps with women, it's we need to take a step back. How can we buffer stress? You can't remove all your stress from your life. That's not realistic. But usually it
Yeah.
means we're pulling back on exercise. For a lot of women, we have to cut out cardio completely for quite some time before we can ever
Mhm.
introduce it back in. We're focusing on improving sleep quality. We're focusing on eating enough food because under eating is a stress on our body.
Yes.
Estrogen can't
Oh,
help buffer stress anymore.
let's
So now we're
let's
going
slow
to
down since
nutrition.
we're talking about all
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Let's break down each component because we let's address sleep, and
Mhm.
then we'll tackle the working out and taking it easy
Yeah,
on
yeah.
cardio. What can we do? I guess we'll dive into solutions, I guess,
Yes,
since we're
yes.
talking about it. I know it's some people don't sleep at all or can't, or
Mhm.
depending on work. What can we do to just get better sleep in this case?
Yeah, so first of all, sleep is massively important. Studies show two
Mm,
groups in a calorie deficit. The group that has less sleep will lose less fat, they will lose more muscle, which means your body fat percentage actually goes up, and your blood sugar gets worse. You have more cravings, your hunger hormones are a mess. So, like, sleep, if you can't get that under control, makes it really, really, really hard to lose weight. And we know during perimenopause and menopause, that is one of the things that goes to crap right away. Things that
mm,
can really help support you is taking magnesium at nighttime because magnesium helps bring your cortisol levels down. It helps relax your body, making sleep a lot better. I typically recommend 400 milligrams at nighttime
mhm.
before you go to bed. But the other thing is having a bedtime snack can be super important, which people are like, you want me to eat after bedtime or after supper time? Yes, yes, I do. So by having a bedtime snack, that's going to have carbohydrates, which people are just like, okay, eating after dinner and a carb, are you insane? No, this will change your life. So you are going to have a carbohydrate with a little bit of fiber in it paired with either protein or fat. That's going to bring down your cortisol, which is going to allow your melatonin to come up, which is your sleepy hormone. So you can fall asleep and stay asleep. By pairing that carb that has like some fiber with it with some protein or fat will help stabilize your blood sugars through the nighttime. This is really important because we know that if blood sugar drops, cortisol spikes and tells your body to put more sugar into your bloodstream. That spike in cortisol is what wakes you up. So if you're waking up between, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m., that's typically cortisol spiking way too early. So a way to prevent that from happening is by having that bedtime snack because a lot of us struggle so much with blood sugar and don't even realize it because we're eating all the time. The average American eats 17 to 23 times a day because we snack so freaking much, which is insane. But that's just like your blood sugar becomes totally erratic and then your body can't handle going without food. So now we have to work on like meal structure and then having that bedtime snack to help support you through the nighttime. Otherwise, you keep waking up and like if you're not sleeping well, you're always going to struggle with weight loss. And then you can also do the things like having white noise and making sure your room is nice and cool, making sure it's dark, avoiding screens before bedtime, lowering the lights before bedtime, doing some things to like help lower your heart rate and your breathing rate so that can be doing a gratitude journal. This could be actually reading on paper instead of like on a screen. This could be, listening to some calming music, some yoga, doing some stretching, whatever that looks like to help bring your heart rate and breathing rate down for at least 5 minutes before bed can make a very, very big difference for you.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. But it's good. Thank you for the tips because physiologically, you could do anything from the outside, but you gotta treat it from the inside too. So that fiber and carbs, because a lot of people do avoid carbs, right? Or no eating after 6 or 7. I eat till midnight. Doesn't matter before I sleep. But I mean, I've experienced this too, where all of a sudden I can't sleep anymore. What's going on? And then I fix that, and then my cat wakes me up. But that's another whole issue. But yeah, sleep is so important, especially that if we're not, we'll tackle nutrition. That's a whole, you know, full on component by itself, but if we're not eating properly, we're not building muscle, we're losing, we're eating less, gaining fat, losing muscle, and all the repair and muscle production, rejuvenation happens while we're sleeping. So it's super, super duper important, guys. Sleep. I think most women don't realize that they feel like I could be on top of the world. I'm like a Wonder Woman with little sleep and tackling the day, just adding more stress to our bodies.
Yep. And
Um,
that won't last long. Like the feeling like
you'll
Wonder Woman,
crash. Your
can do
body
it,
will tell you.
your body will
Yes.
stop eventually.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, what happened? I used to be good with 6 to 8 hours, right? And then when I struggled with all that, and before getting into hormones, I couldn't sleep, and then I crashed. I needed 12 hours to
Oof.
function, not even like wake up like thriving and ready for the day. I wasn't even rested. It's crazy. And that's a big sign telling you like, oh, you need to do something. It's not normal to sleep 12 hours. Yeah. Um, so when we don't need to get into so much into what happens progesterone and estrogen. I think a lot of women know that the fluctuations in hormones happen, and we know you mentioned all of the outside stressors make it worse. So how does now nutrition, we hear a lot of women say, well, I used to eat anything I wanted. I mean, especially in the 20s. And then all of a sudden, it's like whatever I'm doing, the dieting I'm doing, it's stopped working all of a sudden, you know? And so, what are some, and we don't know what they were doing. They could have been under eating. Some
Mhm.
could be like just tracking macros the way they should, but that stopped working for them. What are the things that, generally, if someone is not eating healthy or according to their, goals and any medical condition they have, how would the changes need to be made, what changes need to be made, and also for someone who has been macro tracking and maybe weightlifting, doing all the right things, but then they do experience sudden weight gain too. So what changes do they need to do? If they were doing HIIT workouts, do they have to alter anything, maybe temporarily, or and then also, while they're doing all these changes, how critical is it to see a naturopath or the holistic doctor to get their hormones checked? Because I mean, there's so much we could do with nutrition, right, and all of that, but cortisol levels are high, and then we're not supplementing or taking, hormone replacement therapy. So, will we still see changes without that, or it's like pointless to do that if hormones are not in check?
Yeah, so
Loaded
anything that
question.
yeah,
So.
anything that's going to help improve your cortisol levels is naturally going to help improve hormone balance. 50% of our clients are on like bioidentical HRT. The other half do not and do not want to, and that is fine.
Mhm.
So we do hormone testing on most of our clients if they want to, like it's an option, right? During perimenopause, if cycles aren't consistent, it makes it a little bit more challenging. But postmenopause, you can test whenever, and then peri trying because you want to try and test it on certain days of your cycle. So that can make it a bit more challenging if you aren't cycling regularly. That being said, with the HRT, great for symptoms and also great for health, right? We know that it can help mitigate some of like the bone loss. We know it can help with like energy, mood, like your ability to focus, those kinds of things. HRT will not help you lose weight. HRT will not improve your metabolism, which is the main reason that we're seeing why you're struggling. So metabolism is, in a nutshell, how many calories your body burns at rest. If your body sucks at burning calories, weight gain obviously gonna be very easy. Weight loss gonna be a lot more challenging. So also, if your metabolism is slow, we are going to see way more inflammation because it takes way longer for food and energy and the products to get into our cells. That's going to increase inflammation and oxidative stress. That's going to put a whole other level of stress on our body, detox systems, fat gain, all the things. So improving metabolism is going to improve your health. It's also going to improve your ability to be able to lose weight and actually feel good, right? If metabolism is slow, we're almost always going to see a hormonal issue alongside of that. So in order to be able to address this, we really need to look at the person as a whole and understand what have they been through? Like how's your energy, your sleep, your digestion, your activity levels? What have you done? What are you doing now? How consistent are you? Like we need to know where your nutrition is at right now today compared to what you were doing before. Because if you're up and down, like more than in a 200 calorie range day to day, that's a massive stress on your body. It has no idea what to anticipate. So it's going to hold on to fat because it doesn't know if it's going to get a lot today, if it's not going to get a lot today. You need to make sure you're getting enough protein in. This is incredibly important. I cannot stress that enough. Your protein needs increase during perimenopause and menopause to really help counteract that muscle breakdown signal that we see when estrogen starts to go down. So we need to make sure we're eating enough protein. We need to eat enough food and we need to be consistent in that. And you have to have carbohydrates at every meal as well to help provide you with energy. Because a lot of the times the reason people feel like crap is they don't have enough carbohydrates in their diet. That's really what it comes down to. But if you've been low carb for a very long time, we need to increase that slowly because you've made yourself insulin resistant by never exposing your body to carbs. We see this with people who come in who have done keto for a long time. It is
Yeah.
like a step process of increasing by like 10 grams of carbs a week. Like it is slow. It is small. It takes time. But we need to get you eating enough food so your body's metabolism can improve. So you got to think of it like stoking a fire. Like if you're not putting enough fuel in the fire goes out. The fire
Right.
is like your metabolism. You need adequate fuel coming in to keep that fire burning nice and hot.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it goes out. It's not good at burning stuff anymore, right? More likely to go out. We don't want that. So we need to make sure you're eating enough food, eating enough carbs, eating enough protein, but also your timing of food matters because our blood sugar control goes to crap in perimenopause and menopause when estrogen goes down. Like we see this happen all of the time. You can be insulin resistant for up to 10 years before your A1C changes. This is why fasting glucose is so much better to measure than your A1C because A1C takes a long time to change. By the time they flag it, you're actually already pre-diabetic. So
Mhm.
this is really important to be aware of, particularly for women. So we need to eat structured meals every like 4 to 5 hours. Like we don't want to do this grazing thing. You can have a snack in between. You need adequate protein like every 3 to 4 hours. So having a protein snack is going to be really important. And then when it comes to exercise, if
Mhm.
you are tired, like if your energy is crappy, if you are not sleeping well, if your digestion is poor, you have no business doing HIIT workouts. Everyone's like, "Oh, but Stacy Sims." Yes, Stacy Sims does stuff on people who are already in a place where their body can handle it. Same with the fasting studies. Those are done on people whose body can handle it. If you are tired, if you are struggling with your energy and having those crashes, if you are not sleeping well, if you are struggling to put on muscle mass, if you are struggling with hormonal symptoms, if you are dealing with lots of bloating, that hit is just an extra stress that your body already cannot handle. But we try to push because somebody said it was good, somebody said it was good, but you're not listening to your body and what your body needs. Like your body is telling you every day, I need help. I need recovery. I need more nutrients. I need more whole foods. I need to sleep. I need to do less. I need to put boundaries up. But we don't listen until we are forced to listen, and now
Yeah.
we spend years trying to fix it because if you think about it, like for a visual here, let's say you're pushing, like you want to be up here, we're straight up and down. But with what you're doing with like past diets and fasting and the low carb and all this stuff, you're off course a little bit. From one tip of my finger to the next doesn't seem that far. Over time, to get from here to here increases. And the longer that you go along that trajectory, the longer it's going to take you to get back to where you need to be or where you want to be, where you feel good and healthy and you can lose weight. And unfortunately, a lot of people are so far off that we have to increase calories slowly and stay there for a longer period of time. Like for some women, it's like 6 to 8 months before we can even go into fat loss. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to see changes during that time. You're going to feel better. You're going to sleep better. We can see some body composition changes, but we're not going into a purposeful fat loss phase and cutting calories because your body literally will not respond. Like we have to get everything working well first.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially when we're in a culture that we want immediate results, right? And when you're trying to fix things, you got to trust your coach and give it time. You can't rush through the process, you know? I love that you mentioned that because HIIT was at one point, it still is, it was really popular, right? And I was in my 20s, I got into it. I was not in nutrition, I didn't understand much, and I was doing exactly what we're not supposed to do. And I think we're not to be blamed because it's the lack of, education, and nobody tells you you need to rest. Just push, 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 push. And then I just want to, let everybody know it's okay to do it, but not as a lifestyle workout hit, especially now for women in their 30s, in your 40s. And if you don't have things under control, because I think people think I'm going to do hit to get the fastest results, but a lot of stress on the body and not enough rest. And those group trainings are great, but they don't really reinforce the concept of recovery. It's like, how many days can you show up? Are you not going to show up on cardio day? So from experience, I tell you, you got to listen to your body, and you're not. It's important to differentiate, between laziness and, okay, I need to rest and my body needs to rest. Listening to your body, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
I had to do it the hard way until I just crashed, and I needed to, pay more attention to that. So don't let yourself go to that point. If you're watching this and you're just experiencing symptoms, take notes of everything, and every little thing, reaction, your body, the way it reacts, it's trying to tell you something. So listen, don't
Body's
get to a point.
communicating with you all
Yes.
day, every day.
Yeah, just
If
listen,
you're
because
tired,
it's
there's a
like,
reason
hello,
for
I'm
it.
here.
Mhm.
If you're religious, it's like God telling you, hey, I've been here the whole time, but you're not seeing
Yeah.
me, you're not listening, Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, strength training. So we
Mhm.
mentioned hits. So tell us a little bit about that. Why is it important for women in general, and then more so for women who are in perimenopause and experiencing and menopause too? And then the importance of protein. I know we tapped on it, but how the two work together to get to a place that you're healthy and thriving and also building muscle, and how does this whole thing help you also lose weight?
Yeah, so strength training is key and like 100% necessary. Women can lose up to 10% of their muscle mass in the 3 to 4 years before menopause. So menopause is 1 year without a cycle. The 3 to 4 years before that, you could have a totally normal cycle and you could be losing 10% of your muscle mass, which is insane. And it takes so much work to build back up. If you
Mhm.
are under eating protein, if you are under eating calories, if you are doing a ton of cardio, all those things trigger muscle loss. Adding stress, cortisol eats up muscle for energy. So you will see a more aggressive drop in muscle mass, leaving you with a much higher body fat percentage, which overall slows down your metabolism, increases inflammation, making weight loss even more challenging. So strength training is super key for maintaining that muscle mass. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest, the more blood sugar sensitive you're going to be. So you're going to be less insulin resistant. You will have less inflammation. You have better mitochondrial and cell health, which is going to help with so many other things and systems in your body. It is key. It's also really great for releasing endorphins. It's great for cardiovascular health. It is great for joint health. There are so many benefits. We know that the more muscle that you have, the greater your health span is. Like low muscle mass is correlated with earlier mortality. It is associated with longer hospital stays, slower recovery times, more complications in surgery. So it's not even just the fat loss stuff. It's muscle is key for your health and actually living longer, living with better quality of life. I mean, I saw my grandpa like wither away in a wheelchair. I don't want that. I do not want that. Like, you want to maintain muscle mass and have that independence. Do all the things that you want to do, not be a sideline parent or sideline grandparent. And of course, obviously, the improving of metabolism and blood sugar control will help you with weight loss as well. But you have to think beyond that of like, what do you want your life to look like when you're 80 years old, 90
Yes.
years old? You need to start training for that now before you lose it. Because once you get to a certain point, it's very, very hard to bring back.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you mentioned just maintaining, right? We're not even trying to build here. And if you're someone who is not working out, you need to get on it ASAP,
Yeah.
just to look at your quality of life beyond aesthetics. Yeah, super important. And I mean, if you're just concerned about weight loss too. You're going to put on weight, the more muscle mass you lose as you age if you are not working out. So it's imperative. It's a shame though. I don't come from a background of, lifting. Nobody in my family has worked out. I think I'm the first one. And it's not seen. I never worked out until my late 20s because I didn't think I needed it because I was skinny, right? Skinny fat.
Mhm.
But it's a shame. I think there's not a whole lot of education on this stuff. Maybe now there's more awareness, but I I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of women like me. It's thinking, oh, well, you don't need to work out if you don't want to lose weight, right? And it's painful when you start something new and you don't know what to do. There's a lot of women who fear going to the gym, not knowing what they're doing, and so uh, it's very important to look for something that you're going to fall in love with. It could be anything. Start slow, Pilates, get yourself in a comfortable group environment, whatever it is, but take that first step. And I mean, I truly mean it because I was self-conscious for the longest time. Nobody cares about what you're looking like, what you're doing. They're all thinking
Everyone's
about
checking out
themselves.
themselves. They don't
They're
care what
so
you're
concerned
doing.
about themselves,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I would check out anything that you could do, take that first step to just throw yourself at the gym.
Yeah. And then you can transition into true strength training because
Right.
you need to get stronger week to week. Like if you aren't lifting heavier every week, if you
Yeah.
are doing random workouts that change all the time, you're never going to see the change that you want. Like you need to do the same workout, like every Monday looks the same, every Wednesday is going to look the same, every Friday is going to look the same.
Mhm.
You do that for 4 to 6 weeks. Every week you're trying to get stronger. You're lifting a weight. If I can, let's say I'm aiming for 8 reps. If I can do 10, I need to up my weight or slow down the movement longer to make it more challenging so I can't lift to above the prescribed rep range. Then
Yeah.
I sit for 2 minutes and then I repeat that exercise again. And again, it's the sitting makes it feel so uncomfortable. And we all think we have to be so sweaty after a workout. Sweaty does not mean effective. All you
Right.
got to make a workout sweaty is add in some burpees, some unnecessary jumping, some unnecessary running, and then boom, you can be sweaty. Anyone can do that. Like that doesn't mean it's going to be effective and get to
Yeah.
where you want to be. You have to focus on actually getting stronger because unless you're trying to get stronger, there is no reason for your body to put on muscle.
Hmm.
None. If my body knows that I can lift that weight, then cool. I don't have to change because I can already do the things that I want to do. If I'm struggling, I'm like, man, these last 2 reps are really challenging, then my body's like, hey, I need to put on muscle to get stronger because for some reason, Stephanie keeps trying to lift these stupid weights. So we better be able to make sure that we can do that next time. But unless you're actually challenging yourselves, that will literally never happen. So this is
Yeah.
where like group fitness can give you a little bit of like a introduction to learn how to do some movements. But ultimately, you're going to have to transition to a strength training program because if you're doing a different workout every time, your body, again, never has the opportunity to try and challenge itself to get stronger week to week. You need to do that in order to see changes. This is like the biggest mistake I see women do all of the time.
Yes,
Like
I
it
see that
has
in
to
mom
look
groups
the
too.
same.
In mom groups, I'm doing this,
Yep.
it's not working. How long have you been doing for? A week or two? I didn't see the scale move. Okay, let's jump into something else. What's
It'll
the
be
latest
months. It'll
challenge?
be months.
Yeah, it'll be months. And then if you still don't see any changes, well, the weight might not change, but then there's so many ways to check
Mhm.
progress. I think women fail to see that, inches measurement, how you're feeling, your
Yep.
strength. They can be assessed from well, with an expert if you can't do it, but
But
giving
even
yourself
taking
time,
taking photos, like I
taking
shared my
photos.
photos. I'm on a fat loss phase right now. My
Mm,
weight has changed a pound. And if you look at my photos, like I asked people how much weight they thought I lost, and people were like 15 pounds,
wow.
20 pounds, a pound, depending on the day that I weigh in. You know,
Right.
if I'm a little bit bloated from not having enough water or not getting enough sleep, then the scale will be higher the next day. So
Yeah.
it's like you have to realize the scale literally means nothing. It tells you gravitational pull, that's it.
Yeah.
Like it is not the be all end all for knowing how things are changing or improving because I have people who have gained weight and they're down 3 pant sizes.
And look better. Yeah, it
Yep.
happened to me. I
Mhm.
hardly ever weigh myself, but I've been more consistent because I was sick for a couple of weeks and I'm taking creatine again. It went up, but I feel stronger, tighter, I mean leaner, so everything's great.
Mhm.
But again, I don't blame this just our progress is so much, we're so concerned with it's societal pressure, I guess, on looking being a size zero, extra small, small, and then weighing, what we weighed like in high school. That's like messing
Yeah.
up with a ton of women. And it takes time. How do you work with that mentally with clients? They're like, okay, I see changes, but then I just want the scale. Can it go back down to 140? How do you deal with that? What questions do you ask them? Why
Well, I
140?
asked them, I say, would you be happier if you looked like this? So if you looked like the same, but the scale was lower, would that make you feel better?
Mhm.
Yes or no? Most people will be like, well, no, I want to look a certain way. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
so let's focus on that. Send me a picture of what your ideal like physique looks like.
yeah,
Guaranteed it's like 10 pounds heavier than what you think it is.
right.
Or I go, if you didn't know what the scale was what the number on the scale was today, would you be happy with your progress?
Hmm.
Yes or no?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
have to take the emotionality out of it and look at it logistically, which is hard. We're emotionally
Mhm.
tied to everything, but when you can take a step back and be curious about it, that's where things really change. So I literally have like a checklist that I do with clients. I'm like, print this off, put it by your scale and check off what happened. All the reasons the scale can go up. If I had more salt than usual, if I had more carbs than usual, because more carbs mean more water and digestion. 1 gram of carb needs 4 molecules of water. If you ate 50 grams more of carbs one day, that's 100 molecules of water. That has weight to it. Did you like have a bowel movement?
Water, people, not fat.
Yeah,
It's
water.
water.
So, like, did you have more carbs? Did you have a bowel movement or not? Are you dehydrated? Did you have more salt? Did you have alcohol? That'll affect the scale for up to 4 days afterwards. Did you have a poor night's sleep? Did you have a hard workout? If I have a hard workout, the scale is heavier the next day because of the little inflammation that happens from working out hard. Where are you in your cycle? Track your symptoms because where your progesterone is going to massively influence fluid retention as well. Like there's so many things, I didn't even listen to them all. Like there's so many things that can affect the scale. So like be inquisitive about it. Don't be upset. Be like, I wonder what caused it this time. Let me go back and
Yeah.
investigate and look. And it helps you understand and identify patterns and where things may be going wrong, where you're inconsistent, right? Like that makes a big,
Right.
big difference, but you have to almost look at it as if you're studying, treating it like a science experiment because
Yeah.
you're just collecting data. The numbers don't tell you anything about yourself. There is no emotion tied to it. We tie it to it.
Yeah.
Like if that scale says 140 versus 138, it doesn't like what's the feeling associated with that? There is no feeling. It's a number.
Hmm.
We associate that with a feeling. We do it to ourselves. And then that negative mindset, you know what it does? Boom, increases cortisol. Now we're
Stress.
struggling with more things. So it's really understanding that we are totally making up what these numbers mean. That's it. Like there's literally no meaning to it aside from that's how much gravitational pull you have today. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. And I think a lot of people just need to realize also, like, if you're only weighing yourself once a week, you could just happen to be weighing yourself on a day that's heavier. Like, I recommend if you're going to weigh every day. If you don't want to weigh, then don't. Like, because you want to take the average and see the trends over time. Because, like, when I tell you my scale fluctuates like 2 pounds, 3 pounds in a week. Like it's up, down, up, down, up, down. But I take the average of that week to see where that is. And so then over time, I'm seeing it's still going down. It's going down by like a half a pound a week, which is amazing. That's what we want. But there's too many things that influence the number on the scale that you cannot tell yourself if you are actually losing fat or not. This is where you got to pair it with photos and,
Hmm.
measure yourself. How are you getting stronger in the gym, your sleep, your energy, digestion? Measure all those things. Track those things because that's going to tell you if you're moving in the right direction way more than the scale ever would on its own.
Yep, yep, definitely. And we're not programmed to think that way. So, just a few questions, what are your non-scale victories? What are you experiencing throughout the week and journal those so that you could see your victories and celebrate them.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then your ideal body weighs more than you think. I think I read that the other other day.
Yeah,
And it's
like
so true. Mine
when
is
I
20
was at
pounds more than
yeah, when I was at my fittest,
uh-huh.
I was 152 pounds.
Hmm.
I'm 5'5".
Yeah.
Like where I'm at right now, I'm at 138. And I do
Uh-huh.
not look anywhere near as good as I did at
Near where you wanted to get. Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
it is. So it's
Yeah.
like the number literally means nothing. Like which photo
Right.
would I rather look like? This one. Cool. That one's 152 pounds. Whatever.
Right.
I was leaner, I was tighter, and I was in a smaller pant size, right? So it's like you just need to realize that the number doesn't equal a look at
Mm.
all.
At all.
Like
No.
getting to 130 will not mean you look like this. Most of the time, it won't even be close because you don't have
Right.
enough muscle underneath to like look the way that you want to look.
Yeah. Yeah. And forget the BMI index because a lot of people, it's outdated. Don't listen to your doctor. I went to a chiropractor and he's like, this is gonna make you lose weight once I adjust you. I'm like, I'm not trying to lose weight because I'm 5'1" and I'm 135,
Mhm.
but I was 110 and I built muscle and it's like, I'm not trying to lose weight. I told him, I'm
And like,
sorry,
don't
but
assume that I'm trying to lose weight.
yeah, so
Like,
no, I'm
keep
not.
your judgment in the box over there.
I was just like, oh my gosh.
Oh.
Um, oh, crazy, crazy stuff. Yes, but where were we? All right, we tackled that. I mean, we covered a lot. Let me see anything that pops that we didn't cover that's really like important.
No, like the biggest thing is like you need to do a serious assessment as to like the reality of how much stress your body is under. And sometimes we can't do that objectively. So like you can
hmm,
reach out, do that for free. We'll figure out where your fat calorie intake should be at because
yeah.
most of us are drastically under eating. We are not consistent in our intake at all because you
Hmm.
can eat super healthy and be really low calorie one day and really high calorie the next. That's a stress on your body. Like
Yeah.
understanding that like learning about nutrition and what that actually looks like for your body and what works well for your body based on your history and your
Yeah.
hormones and your symptoms is going to be very different from someone else. And this is
Hmm.
why you can't do the cookie cutter stuff. It
No.
doesn't work. This
Yep.
is why you've tried them all before and they failed. So, and everyone's like, oh, this is going to be something else that I fail, right? And I'm like, no, like, because the difference is you're going to learn. The whole point of coaching is having a coach learn your body with you to teach you about your body so that you can learn how to fuel your body properly, learn how to actually lose weight, learn how to keep it off, and what those strategies look like for you. But you work together through communication and going back and forth and trying the different things and tracking and reviewing the data together and helping you understand and build. And you can learn what foods work best for you and what's your food actually made of. On a day that I need to get more protein, what are the options that I can aim for? What are the things that I need more? If I need more fiber, what are my go-tos for that? And you work together to figure those things out because we know what to look for, right? We know what data, we know what we need to teach you, we know what to watch for to see is this working for your body or not. Most of us have no freaking idea about our body. We are so good at ignoring it. We are so good at distracting ourselves. We are so good at just, oh, it must be this, oh, it must be that. When I want to lose weight, I'll just do this. And like most of us never even knew our cycles, the
Hmm.
symptoms that we were experiencing, why we were experiencing symptoms at different parts of our cycle. So how the heck, when we have a regular cycle, when we don't understand our bodies then, how are we supposed to understand them when our hormones start to change?
Yeah.
This is the thing. And so you never took time to learn about your body before when it would have been easier. Now we need to take time to like really unlearn everything that we thought we knew
Yeah.
and learn our body now because our body is different now that we've gone through hormonal changes. It is so different. So we can't do what we used to do because our body is not the same like it used to be.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's not like whatever we did was great before. It's just that our bodies were, in your 20s, you could do whatever.
But
Most
handle
people,
more stress because you
it
had
can
estrogen.
until
Yeah.
it's like a car that's, running out of fuel or, not being maintained. It's like gonna start, and we don't seek help or change until it breaks down completely, unfortunately, so definitely. And then you mentioned something working together. You have to be a team, right?
Yes.
And just like there's no cookie cutter plan, there's no textbook like, okay, you fall under client number one, this is your protocol, right? It's trusting, surrendering to your coach and helping you learn too. You said it's a learning curve too. It's a trial and error sometimes with clients
And
too,
the
right?
plan will change
Yeah,
because when has life ever worked out exactly the way you thought it was going to?
absolutely.
Literally nothing. Like we have clients that were like, hey, we're going to go into fat loss on this day. And then you know what? Boom, there's a death in the
So
family.
many variables.
There's
Yeah.
work stress, or there's travel, or whatever there is,
Yeah.
sickness, injury, surgery, whatever. And then we have
Hmm.
to adjust.
Hmm.
People get frustrated and it's like, would you rather give me a plan that doesn't suit your body right now? No. Like, so there's gonna be adjustments. I can't tell you how many clients, like, we have a fat loss plan, like, ready to go. And it's like, oh, something came up or we're partway through it and then we got to pull out of it. And we
Yeah.
need to readjust and get your body good again and then dive in again. And so it's really understanding that just maybe because it's not working that first time in, we're also learning, just like how we learned how to get your body to heal, right?
Yeah.
What your body responds to. We're not going to get it perfect on the first try of cutting your calories. We need to see how long we're dropping for, how low we're dropping for. Are we doing refeed days? Are we doing diet breaks? Is it like just a couple days up? Are we up for a couple weeks? How long, like, what does that look like? What foods are changing? Are you going to do better with lower carb or lower fat when you're in a fat loss phase? How is your energy going to change? Are your symptoms going to come back? Because lots of women, if they cut their calories in the wrong way or too low or before their body is ready, boom, hot flashes come back. Boom, night sweats come back. All of a sudden, you're not sleeping at nighttime anymore. They're all signs from your body, and you have to work together to learn. But like, you're already dealing with that stuff now. How are you going to deal with it later, right? Like, it's understanding that you're going to learn and work with a coach to really get together and figure out your specific body.
Yeah.
We help you learn and teach you what you need for your body and when those obstacles come up, because they are going to come up. I would much rather you go through hard times with us as much as it sucks, because guess what? When they inevitably come up again, when life inevitably like throws you down, when you go through the next stressor, now you know how to do it.
You
You've
have the
done
tools.
it
Yeah.
before,
It's
and you know you can succeed. If you never
absolutely.
struggle when you're with a coach, you're never going to be successful long term. So this is why I'm like, awesome, you're going through a hard time. I love it. Like it
Yeah.
sucks, but also I'm glad this is happening while you're with us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Navigate through the hardships and setbacks while it's happening, because it's like a trial for the real life when you're by yourself, you know. That's
Okay.
why I hate challenges. Honestly, like I do hold challenges. Why do I hate them? Because people are, even the 75 hard ones, you're
You
completely
don't
in,
learn.
locked in, you don't learn, and you cut out everything that's not realistic,
Mhm.
and I've never even attempted 75 hard, to be honest, because it's like,
Ugh,
why?
me either. I
Why?
would
It
never do it
doesn't.
long term. So
I
what's
have
the
a friend
point?
who would do it, but she's the unhealthiest person because she goes back to old habits and then some, and then what are you doing to her? Anyways, yeah. And stressing yourself out with 2 workouts a day. And, it just, yeah. So, but yeah, that's why macros. And one thing also, because I do see this happening a lot, oh, my friend's working with a coach and we kind of have the same body type, same height. So I'm just gonna follow their plan, right? It
Terrible idea.
doesn't work that way. Also, my friend, we're both trained, we were the same height, um, same weight, right? But we eat completely different. Her carbs, she can tolerate more carbs than I do. I've worked with a trainer for 4 years, so he knew my body very well. I do not, over the years, I've stopped tolerating carbs, even though my workouts, we started lifting heavier. I do great at 40% protein, no matter my calories. I know that's like my key to success. And also, if it's like I have refeed days, it's like I know what works for my body. And like once a month, I can go eat unlimited carbs and it just does wonders to my body. But on a daily basis, I cannot go extremely high. And the quality of carbs matter too for me. It needs to be complex. It's like I know my body now and I just follow it and it's like boom. But to learn that with clients, it needs time. And then if you add variables, like you're not following it, and then I'm doing too much alcohol, it's like we were never gonna learn your body. So like, because I mentioned this because I heard from a client that I'm frustrated. That statement. But there's so much there to unpack because if there's so many variables, it's so hard to work with someone to figure out what's going to work for you or not, and that's
It's
something we
also just
constantly.
like being frustrated is just part of the journey.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're not going to get there. It just means that we have things to work on. And when people get frustrated that they're not where they want to be yet, or you're frustrated because you just can't seem to stay on track or do the things, that's okay. Like we now know what the problem is. Like you don't have to be upset. Like, oh, she's just pointing out like all the things I'm doing wrong. It's no, we know exactly where we need to improve. So how can we help you improve? Are we struggling with this? Okay, let's come up with a strategy to address this one thing first. Let's hammer that down. Then we'll move on to the next thing. We don't need to do everything at once. And like it's going to be different for everyone in what those struggles are and why. Because sometimes the self-sabotaging behavior comes from competing values. Like you really want to lose weight, but doing the thing that's not going to help you lose weight fulfills a value that you have somewhere else. So it takes time to unpack all those things because, yes, we can coach you on nutrition and exercise, but having a deep understanding of like the psychological drivers and your mindset and the virtues, the values, all the things, those are ultimately also going to be a huge part as to whether someone's successful or not. And this is why coaching does take time. You're not going to be 3 months and done. That's not a thing. We don't even take clients for 3 months anymore. It's a minimum 6 months because we need time to heal, to get to know you, to get you to like dig deep with us because we know there's a lot of things under the surface that we definitely need to address.
Right. And it's all mindset stuff, right? Habits we've
Yeah.
developed, the way we react to, emotions and, resort to food for that. There's so much to unpack. Yeah. The subconscious mind, even it's wild. It's wild.
Powerful.
I know it took me a while. It took me forever, to just understand certain concepts, and that's the process based. That's why long-term coaching I love, right? The process versus outcome based. You got to be a different person towards the end,
Mhm.
who thinks differently, acts differently, and not towards like discipline towards food, but life events, because it's all related to how you react to things that happen in your life. Yeah. So I don't want to end this with like very like heavy stuff, but yeah, it all comes down to how you view life at the end and what's important for you. And I love that we focus so much on way past weight loss. That's a byproduct. If you take care of everything
Yep.
and you feel amazing, weight loss is going to happen. But we got to understand that it has to be a lifestyle change, not anything we do short term just for weight loss, because you're gonna put the weight back on and feel horrible. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I got lots of value. This was very insightful. And those who are watching live, I hope that was, you took a ton of notes. And I know the replay is going to be up, the recording. A lot of you are going to be catching that. Thank you, Stephanie, so much for all of your knowledge, your time, for sharing all of this valuable things with us. Any last words you have for us?
No, like if anyone has any questions about stuff or want resources on stuff, we have so much stuff. It's insane and we give it away for free. So you can follow me on Instagram. That's at vitalityoet.stephanie. Or on Facebook, you can find me at Stephanie Crassweller. And then we do have a podcast, which will provide you with literally everything that you need to get started, to be honest. And that's the Metabolism and Menopause podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll make sure to tag those once I have the recording available. Thank you so much again for your time.
Of
I'll
course.
see everybody next week. Bye.
Amazing.